So to start out, can you just tell me about your inspiration for Sundown and how you came up with the idea for this movie?
I wrote it in the middle of some personal crisis that I was going through. I call it midlife crisis. I was, yeah, yeah, it sounds funny, but it's true. I was obsessed with, with the big questions about life and where it all leads and what sense we can make out of it. At the same time, I had recently gone to Acapulco and I had a bad experience with military policemen. And somehow it all connected, and I wanted to work with Tim again. And I wanted to push him, to make a almost silent character that's going through a lot, but showing very little. So yeah, it was the mix of many elements.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that's so interesting about Sundown is that you do have this character, Neil, who is, as you said, going through a lot, but sort of very stoic, even at times apathetic. And so what was it like writing a movie like that and then also directing that? Because I know a big part of a director's job is sort of bringing out that emotion in your actors.
Yeah, it was challenging because often I didn't have, Tim and I discussed the script as we always do, and we both understood it the same way. But somehow when we arrived on set, it was hard for both of us to understand what each scene was about, even though the script worked, because it's a non-conventional film that way. So I couldn't tell Tim I couldn't direct him exactly, and I never worked like that. I let actors find the characters, but it was very intriguing. It's a film that happens within Tim's character, so it's very hard to shoot, and hopefully it comes across. And at the same time, he's melting with the environment. So how do you do those two things at the same time that they sound like opposite things, without using cheap tricks like music or excessive dialogue explaining everything? So it was hard to find the atmospheres and to make a film that feels alive, hopefully.
It definitely does. And I think it's very interesting to see how just the story plays out, and you sort of see Neil in the beginning and he's pretty unsympathetic at the start. You see him like lying about the passport and you're like, oh man, I hate this guy. Why is he doing that? And then you sort of grow to learn more about him. So tell me a little bit about how you turned this character into someone sympathetic and sort of where that shift is for you.
I like challenging the audience in that way, because normally scripts are developed on a very simple, patronizing base, that it's who's good, who's bad, who do we like. And I like thinking it's more like life. In life, many times we judge beforehand. We judge too early and we make mistakes, and then you understand a lot more of the other person. Sometimes it's too late. So I like presenting the audience something that has many different readings, and I understand why you're saying he seems unsympathetic at the beginning, but some people find it like, oh, he's got the nerves to make this fantasy. Some people have that fantasy of leaving everything behind. So it mirrors a lot of what every member of the audience who that is, and of course you can only fully understand and say what you think at the very end of the movie. So I like that too. That again, in many movies, within the first few minutes, we know everything, and we just go through it, and that seems very boring.
Yeah, I do like that this one is definitely a learning process, and you're constantly like getting a little bit more every time something happens and sort of adding to your perception of it. It does like sort of layer in very nicely. So we talked a little bit about it being challenging to go from sort of this script to turning that sort of Neil's character into something on screen. Do you have any other big challenges that you didn't spot as a difficulty going in and then found when you started directing, or anything that from the start when you were writing you knew would be challenging?
A big challenge was the love story that we see that develops in front of us on screen. I wanted it to be really a truthful thing, a pure thing. It's a love story with very little dialogue because they don't speak the same language. It's sexy at times. That was challenging to it's the first time I tell a love story, and even if the movie is not only about that, it is an important element because it's unexpected, both for the audience and for Tim's character.
And I think it's another really interesting way to play with everyone's perception, because I know, like, when I started the movie, I assumed that Neil and then Charlotte Gainsbourg's character, Alice, that they were, you know, together, they were a couple, and then you find out, like, much later that they're siblings. So it's really, like, another part of that layering. So just final question to wrap up. If you had to choose one favorite scene from the movie that you directed and came out exactly like you anticipated, or even better than you anticipated, which one would it be?
It's hard to answer, but I like Charlotte's performance when she when they get the news delivered. They're in the van on the way to the airport, and they get that phone call. I just love what Charlotte did there, and it kind of broke my heart, even though I knew, you know, it's all fake and I'm directing, and somehow it really moved me. And the contrast with Tim, the way everything is contained in that van, I like that, how the actors play that.
Absolutely. That's a great scene. Good choice. I believe that that is my time for today. So thank you so much for talking with me.
Thank you so much.
And I'm excited for everyone to see Sundown.
Thank you.